What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down some drills that will help quarterbacks get to the next level. Let's get started. Now, before we get into this video, fellas, if you're a quarterback and you would like to learn how you can read defenses, check out that very first link in the description below where you can get access to 500 plus videos on how to read coverages, diagnose different coverages, and the best plays to work against those specific defensive looks. Again, we break down everything, what you guys should be thinking pre-snap, where your eyes should go on certain plays that they have in every single offense. So if you want to improve your football IQ and you're a quarterback, check out that link below, very first link in that description. Let's get back to this video. All right, guys, so how this video is going to go down is I'm going to pretty much explain what a Division I or just general college coach is going to look for in a quarterback. Then I'm going to give you a drill to work on that specific aspect of your game. So the first thing that you have to think about, especially when playing quarterback at a very high level of college football, is how you throw the ball, your throwing mechanics. Now, everybody talks about, like the eye test, right? So like, oh, a quarterback's 6'4", 200 plus pounds, like he passes the eye test. There is also an eye test when you throw the football. You have to have a clean motion. You have to have an efficient motion, not because it's just appealing to the eye, but also that will help you with the other things that we're going to cover in this video. So general throwing mechanics when it comes to your arm. What a lot of quarterback coaches don't want to see at the next level is they don't want to see guys who like to lift the ball straight up to 90 and they like to come down, pull their elbow down, dip their head, and have this like crazy high release point. Now again, I know some of you have probably been taught, hey, you want to have a high release, you want to come over the top, and I'm not saying to have a low release or this like 3/4 release that is very popular nowadays. I am just saying you need to have a good backstroke that leads to an efficiently or like a mechanically sound motion. Now let me explain. So when you guys go to throw, think about throwing mechanics in a whole, right? So like the first part of every single throw is you got to take a front stride, right? So your front foot's got to get down, then your hips have to be able to rotate through, and then the shoulders and the ball trail behind. That takes pressure off the arm. That's how you get more velocity on the throw, and that's how you're more consistent. Now think about this. If you're a quarterback who just traditionally likes to lift the ball straight to 90 degrees, maybe you hold it up high by the ear, you lift high to 90. When you lift to 90, your rotator cuff works in two parts on a throw. It either is going to go from L to L, or it's going to go from vertical L to behind your head, and shoulders are going to lead your hips in your throwing motion. What we have to be able to do is we need to be able to keep my shoulders back as my front foot gets down so my hips can bring the arm up to 90. Everybody can agree we want to get my arm to 90, but it's the timing of when your arm gets to 90. So this next drill that I'm going to show you is great to work on that. If you're a quarterback who likes to lift that ball, that puts a lot of stress on the arm, you dip the ball behind your head and you're inconsistent. So what this drill is, it's pretty much a two-part drill. All you're going to be doing is you're going to have your feet in cement facing a partner, facing a target, whatever it might be, and it's going to be a 2-clap cadence. So, or actually, excuse me, 3-clap cadence. So you're going to be here, clap 1, you're going to rotate your shoulders to the target, clap 2, you're going to separate your hands and get to that L. Does it need to be a perfect L? No, but what I tell my quarterbacks to do is think of it like you're holding a glass of water and you're pouring out the water. That gets your arm to that opposite L or backstroke position, then rotate through and throw. So it just builds that muscle memory in your arm. You could do that with a towel, you could do that with a light dumbbell, just to get you out of that habit of lifting the ball straight to 90. Like I said, it doesn't need to be a perfect L every time. It can be somewhere in that range. Just make sure the hip rotation brings you to 90. I'm gonna show you how that drill is gonna look full speed. All right, guys, so the next thing that I want to talk about that they're going to look for in every single college quarterback is going to be arm strength. So if you do not have a strong arm, if you cannot make college level throws, you will not be able to play at the next level, right? So what can you do to work on your arm strength? And this next drill we're going to be discussing will help you with that. But first you need to understand the concept of arm strength, right? So arm strength is not how strong your arm is. That is completely false. Arm strength does not come from your arm, does not come from your shoulder, your bicep, your tricep, nothing. It comes from your core, your hips, and your legs, and your mechanical sequence. It's all about torque. Arm strength comes from torque, and that's how you get velocity on the throw. Very similar to how a hitter in baseball hits a baseball bat, and I'll explain. So when you go to throw, everybody has something called the throwing sequence, right? So your throwing sequence, we kind of mentioned in the last clip, your front foot needs to get down. That's the first part of the throwing sequence. Now, as your front foot gets down, the next part of the throwing sequence is the hip rotation. And as we talked about with that backstroke, what needs to happen when the hips start to rotate through? Your shoulders need to be back, and then the ball and the shoulders are the last part of that throwing sequence. So it comes down to stride, then hips, then shoulders, then ball. So it's very similar to how a baseball player, when he's in the batter's box, what is he doing? He's at the bat here, his weight's loaded back. He doesn't have all of his weight come forward when he's trying to hit the ball. He stays loaded with the bat and pivots and brings the bat through, causing that like coil effect, AKA torque. So when we throw, you have to get into a good base to generate that hip rotation and that torque. A lot of quarterbacks, the mistake that they will make is they will throw from a really wide base. They'll have their feet outside their shoulder frame. You physically cannot rotate your hips here. You have to have your feet inside of your shoulder frame to get that full rotation through. So this drill works on strengthening your back leg to that position off of a drop, because this is where guys will go wrong. Like, let's say I got to throw like maybe a quick like 10-yard out, right? They'll take a 3-step drop, guys will go to throw, and when they plant, foot's outside their frame, they can't rotate. That screws up their entire throwing sequence. And it's because a lot of guys don't have that strength in their back leg to be able to plant with this foot underneath their frame. Shin should be straight, weight should be back so we can stay back and then get that drive through with your hips. So this is just a simple drill. You're literally going to be hopping from one foot to another. So you're gonna need a target, maybe set up like 20, 30 yards away. You're gonna start on your left foot. All you're gonna do, hop to your right foot, hold it, hop back, hold it, hop back again. On the second time you hop to your back foot, you're gonna lightly set down your front foot, then you're gonna shoot through and let this thing fly. Now, why do we do this drill? Because when you're on one foot, it has to be inside your frame, and you're strengthening your ankle, you're strengthening your leg, you're building stability to allow you to make that throw from a mechanically sound spot. Okay, so I'm gonna show you how this drill is gonna look full speed. All right, guys, so the next thing that they're going to be looking for in a Division I college quarterback, or just a college quarterback at any level, is extend playability. So, like, obviously, what gets you recruited if you're a high school, you're a younger player? What's going to get you recruited to play at the next level? Your film, right? So you have to have a huddle highlight tape. You have to have a dominant highlight tape, especially if you're at a situation where you're at a smaller school. Maybe you're not in the biggest town, one of the bigger football towns. You have to have a dominant highlight tape. Now, a dominant highlight tape is not a quarterback who just takes a 3-step drop. He's got a wide open guy and he hits him. You got to understand how many freaking quarterbacks there are across the country that can make that type of throw. You have to have plays that stand out and separate you from the rest, right? So that's where that extend playability comes from. Now, I'm not saying you got to be Lamar Jackson, Michael Vick, Johnny Manziel, and just run for thousands of yards. But you got to be able to extend the play, and you got to be able to get out of the pocket and buy some time. So this next drill that we're going to be doing helps you with throwing on the run. Because there are a lot of situations, especially, I know this, and I know everybody knows this, that high school offensive lines are usually not the greatest just because they're high school football players. Just like how you're probably not as good as an NFL quarterback, high school offensive lines are not as good as an NFL offensive line. You're going to have times where you're going to have to get out of the pocket and make something happen. Don't be that guy who cannot do that. So this drill, all you're going to be doing when we throw on the run for accuracy, it's not like a throw from the pocket where you step with your left foot. It's like you step with the opposite foot. So if you're a righty, you step with your right foot in the direction of the target so you can stay on the move. As you step, your shoulders go back so we could kick through and have that nice sequence when throwing on the run. So this drill just kind of works on that. So all you're going to do, need a partner, need a target to throw to. You're going to stand on one foot, your plant leg. This gets you comfortable with the throwing on the run sequence. So you stand on your right foot, left foot is tucked. All you were doing is going to rotate your shoulders back as you keep this left foot tucked, and you're just going to rotate through and throw to work on that correct sequence. Now, again, we step with the right foot so I could throw this thing on the run and stay on the run, but also think about how we generate power from the last example. You want your hips to drive through. As your hips go through, your shoulders do what? Stay back, because it creates a whip. So when you step with your right foot to the target on the run, whether it's inside, whether it's outside, you could point that toe and play with it a little bit. When you step with that toe, what does that do? That gets your hips to the target. And when your shoulders rotate back, that's how we get more pop, more torque, and we can be more consistent. I'm going to show you how this drill is going to look full speed. All right, guys, so the next thing that a college coach is probably going to be looking for in their quarterbacks is accuracy. Like, honestly, dude, like, you got to be able to hit certain throws. You can't be that guy that is inconsistent. Like, if you're in a situation where you're throwing routes versus air, there's no defense, there's no pass rush, you should be like, if you got 10 throws, you should be 10 for 10. You should not be that guy that is inconsistent, especially when we're in t-shirt and shorts. So accuracy is all based on a lot of those things we talked about, like throwing sequence, but a lot of it has to do with your front arm and your front side discipline. So what does that exactly mean? So when you go to throw, every single quarterback has got something in their body called a midline. So a midline is an imaginary line that goes down the middle of your body that kind of helps you with balance, and it helps you with just staying, you know, compact. If you want to think of it like your spine, think of it like your spine, right? So let's say you're a guy and you have this bad habit of taking your front elbow and pulling it down when you throw. So you're here, you're in a good position, you're relaxed, you take a step to throw and you pull down. That is going to pull your body down off of the midline. Your spine is not going to stay straight. Your spine is going to turn down, which therefore pushes that release point high outside your frame, causing us to miss high or miss low. What a lot of guys like to do also is they will go to throw and this front shoulder rips open as a source of power. And when you rip open as a source of power, that pulls your body off the midline to the left or to the right, depending on what arm you are. And the arm widens coming across, throwing almost sidearm. And those are two throws where that angle is outside of my frame. Again, I'm not against a high release. I'm not against a lower release. It just has to stay inside of your frame. You have to stay disciplined with the front side. So a good gauge where you want to be when you throw is you want to try to keep your shoulders level. You want to keep your shoulders level to the target, and you want to keep your hands somewhere by your face. What I tell my guys that seems to help them is, like, if they're a righty, I say bring your right shoulder to your front hand. Because if your front hand's down here, what are you gonna do? Come down like this? No, you're gonna probably keep that front hand up by your collarbone if you bring the right shoulder to your front hand. So a lot of that has to tie in with stability. Again, we used the analogy of like a baseball player hitting earlier. Think about why baseball players usually have a very disciplined front side. They're always holding a glove, catching, right? Working on that stability. That's what this drill is for. So this drill is simple. It's called alphabets. So all you're doing is you're gonna take something with some weight. Use a football, you could use a light dumbbell, a light weighted plate, anything that carries some weight to it. And you're literally gonna extend your arm and just draw the alphabet. So A, B, C, and that's going to, you're probably not going to feel it as much with a football. I suggest using something a little bit heavier, but for you younger guys, a football would probably be best, but that will strengthen that shoulder, give you that mobility, but like functional strength, if you will, which ties into that stability in the front side, which will allow you to have a good release point and make us a more consistent passer. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. We always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, if you're a quarterback and want to get better at reading defenses and need to improve your football IQ, check out that very first link in the description below where you can get access to 500 plus videos on how to read defenses and diagnose coverages. So again, very first link in that description below. I'll see you guys next time.